I will let you all know that you're on mute, and you will be able to ask questions on the right if you want to type anything in that we'll address at the end. I want to get right to it, though. I'm excited for this presentation from Mark and Steve. Steve?
All right, thanks, Tricia. I am super excited about what we have going on today. We have some great information that's come up just in the last couple of weeks that we really want to share and kind of the future of what technology is doing and what things look like. So to get it started off, Microsoft released this new Surface thing. This is not what it was. A couple of years ago, I was at Microsoft's partner organization, I believe in Dallas, and they showed us this Surface device, which you can see on the screen now, and it was super slick from a standpoint that their goal was maybe to put this in restaurants or different public places. You put your phone down on the tablet, you could trade contacts with people across the table, pull up your own music lists. It was kind of an interactive touch screen, and so that's kind of what it was. But Mark, I think they released a different version of Surface, didn't they?
Yeah, and just been coming out and hearing a lot about it recently. Microsoft's releasing their newest version of Surface. Probably be out here in the next couple months, but as you can see by the slideshow, it kind of shows a little image of Microsoft's version of the tablet and kind of the thinness of it, to kind of trying to go after Apple with its sleek design and kind of the intuitive Surface keyboard style. So it kind of just shows you a little bit about what the product's going to look like and kind of what it's going to be all about. And you can kind of see it's running Windows 8 in the background there. Steve, if you want to flip over, this is kind of just some information that we've come across on what the specifications of Surface really are going to entail. You can kind of see the two different platforms they've got there, with the RT edition, which is kind of the entry-level version, and then also the 8 Pro. So kind of goes through weight, design, and also a couple things to note on the Pro version. It's got a little bit better processor, so you're going to get a little bit more speed, a little more functionality built within that. And then you've got the configurable sizes, 32, 64, and all the way up to 128 gigs. So that's pretty substantial change from any of the Apple Androids that I've seen. Most of those I see max out at 64 gigs. So that 128 gigs is going to give you a ton of space for apps, music, documents. So that's kind of the directions Microsoft's going in that portion. Steve, do you maybe want to explain a little bit about your experiences on, comparing a tablet and a laptop?
Sure. I have all of them. I have an Android tablet, the ThinkPad from Lenovo. I have the Apple iPad 2, and of course I have a Windows 7 laptop, and I use all of them for work, all of them for play, so I'm pretty familiar with all of them. But here's my problems with tablets as they exist today. Number one, Microsoft Office. I use a lot of PowerPoint like we're doing right here. When I display that on my Android or on my Apple, it screws up the fonts, it screws up the way things look. I can't edit them the way they want because they're running some kind of third-party version of Microsoft Office. That's a huge problem. Documents, editing, again, it comes back to Office a little bit. Editing and processing documents is really problematic in the tablet form, which, of course, that's what I want to do on it when I'm mobile, is take notes and modify documents, maybe resend them back out. Processors, getting things processed from a standpoint of, they've got a little lower power processor. That's always the problem. And then, of course, the problem with my tablet is it's not my laptop, right? And so that's my number one complaint, is I want one device that I use mobile, that I use in the office, that I use at home. It's all one device with the touch screen and everything. But again, it leads me to the problem with my laptop, right? My Windows laptop today, the battery, if I shove in the extra battery, which makes the thing really heavy, it runs, 4 hours, something like that. The touch screen, I love the touch interface. In fact, I get kind of confused every once in a while. I'm used to touching my tablet, and then I get in the office, I want to touch my laptop screen, so it's always dirty. Of course, that doesn't work because it's not touch screen. We've played with some touchscreen laptops in here running Windows 7. Windows 7 is not really made to run, with touchscreens. It doesn't really work that great. The form factor, no matter the smallest, lightest laptop I have, it's still bigger than my tablet. And then, of course, I want apps. I want to play Angry Birds on my laptop. I know you can do it with Chrome, but I want to be able to do all the apps that you have on my tablet, I want on my laptop. So I'm hoping that the Windows 8, the Surface, merge all that stuff together will make me complete. I can have one device to run absolutely everything, and then I can get rid of, I don't have to have an iPad to do certain things. I don't have to have my Windows 7 to do the other thing. It's all one experience. In fact, here's my vision. I have no idea. Maybe, Mark, you can help us out here in a second. But I want to be able to take my tablet that I've been out working in the field, bring it in the office. It docks up to a multi-screen monitor. It docks up to my keyboard. Now I have the whole desktop environment that I have here in the office. Then wait, I have a meeting back in the conference room. I pick up my Surface, chuck it back to the meeting room, take my notes, all one device, all the same information, using Office, OneNote, all the great things ready to go. Mark?
Yeah, and I also agree with you, Steve. I think that would be great, and hopefully, here in the upcoming Fastest 16-Minute series, we can basically launch that out as kind of new products coming to market. I think the only things with Surface that we've discussed internally, and I'm running the same situation as Steve. I've got a Windows 7 laptop. I've got an Android tablet. I've just recently entered the Apple market and got my iPad this week, so kind of exploring all the devices, seeing what's out there. And I just think with Surface, it'll be great when it comes out, so we can kind of answer some of those unknowns of, what's the battery life going to be? Is it going to be that 10-hour like most of the other ones? How does the multi-touch, really work? Is it as crisp and clean as the other tablets? And then the apps, iTunes, the Play Store, those are, even the Amazon App Store, those are full of apps. I'd like to see what Microsoft's plan is for their App Store, and hopefully that, they'll catch up, rather quickly, which kind of brings us into, some of the new tablets that have been coming out, and just saw on Engadget, here recently that Toshiba's launching their Excite, which is a 13-inch tablet. I don't know about you, Steve, but my 10-inch tablet is plenty big enough, and I've got a 12-inch laptop, so I don't know what I would do with a 13-inch tablet.
Yeah, are you kidding me? So that seems like a really huge form factor. It's not big enough to be a full screen at my desk, but it's too big to carry around in my car or make it portable. So I think that's a great idea, maybe gone wrong. I'm not sure what to do with this, but it's out on the market. As of now, it just seems like a really huge problem. And so, one of the things that you might be hearing about, Mark, is the Ultrabook. Maybe MacBook Air might be the term that you've heard also. That's Apple's version of the Ultrabook. And an Ultrabook really is a term coined for a super thin, super lightweight, super portable laptop. And we're starting to see a ton of these come to market. And Mark, I think recently you kind of got burned on one of those, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We had an event, and we keep these Ultrabooks around. I mean, we carry them in stock here, and basically had a demo or kind of a video to play during the event. Took the Ultrabook out. We took the projector out. Lo and behold, the Ultrabooks are made thin. They're made light, so obviously they don't have as many ports. Well, we kind of ran into the issue of trying to get the projector hooked up. There's no VGA port. Due to the age of the projector, there's no HDMI. So we kind of had a battle of how do we get these two devices connected. So just something to keep in mind with the Ultrabooks that, less ports, there's no optical drives, nothing like that. Just ultra light, ultra thin, made for portability. Then the next thing Steve and I wanted to bring up, as you kind of see on the slide here, is last time we talked about the solid-state drives, kind of comparing those with the traditional hard drive. Now we're seeing kind of a hybrid come out. As you can see, the regular disk drive with the solid-state drive attached on it. What's really nice about that is you kind of get that converged performance with the power up, the booting, and the speed of a solid-state drive, but you get the storage capacity and the price competitiveness of a regular standard drive. So you kind of get a combination or the best of both worlds with this new processor or new hard drive coming out. Next thing, Steve, if you want to change slides for me, we're seeing a lot in the markets of projectors. And I kind of mentioned the projector issue we had with the Ultrabook. These Pico projectors, they're about as small as a deck of cards, easy for on-the-go presenting. Put it in your pocket, put it in your briefcase, take it with you. So you never know when something's going to pop up and you need to throw something up on a screen. It's a little bit easier. Like I mentioned, I've got a 12-inch laptop, and I ran into this issue yesterday. Was doing a presentation or kind of a ad hoc presentation on a little 12-inch screen. So these might be something we'll have to look at, as well. And the other device there is a 3D projector. So those, really are starting to become more mainstream with the 3D TVs and those types of devices coming out. They're really not too, price extreme at the moment. They're pretty competitive, but I mean, we'll start seeing those a little bit more mainstream, and I'm sure those prices will continue to come down just like the TVs are doing. And I really think these will come in handy or kind of tie into 3D video conferencing. I know Steve saw a presentation or read a book about how cool would it be to sit in a 3D video conference. Steve, do you want to chime in on kind of your experience with that?
Yeah, think about it from a Microsoft Kinect standpoint. If you haven't seen the Kinect, they use it on the Xbox today, but people are starting to adapt these Kinect devices into the conference room where literally you have 3D voice-activated conferencing coming to your conference room at a very, competitive price standpoint. But, it's kind of funny to see the boss coming through the screen to choke this guy, but think about it this way. If you were sitting around a conference table with a dozen or a half dozen people, and literally you could interact with them as if they were in the room, and turn to your left and look at somebody, and turn to your right and look at somebody, and those kind of things. I mean, when you start looking at the kind of 3D technology converged with video conferencing, it really brings a new added aspect to this whole thing. And then you just make this whole conferencing, voice commanded, so that you could do different recordings and different things all via voice command. Because I know that we've got video conferencing here at the office, and at times it can be difficult to set up. But some of this technology has moved a long ways using standard internet connections, so we're going to start seeing that. And 3D is of course the key word now. And Mark, I think you've been researching some more interesting versions of 3D even.
Yeah, the 3D printing we're seeing and hearing a lot about is really taken off. This is kind of an entry-level example here, kind of in the infancy stages, but really going to be starting to come around a lot more. Just kind of talking about some of the different options that are going to be available. If you're doing some working out on your house, and you run out of screws and you need to run to the hardware store and they're closed, fire up the 3D printer and print yourself out a couple of screws and finish the job. We've even talked or seen a lot of talk about this use in the medical field, from those types of standpoints. If they've got a skin graft or something like that with some specialized material that they might be able to kind of print and manufacture some of those types of things. So not only from a just a fun, exciting way to print out a complete Lego set and basically give it to your kids and say, here, build this. We printed it from our 3D printer. Now let's have some fun with it, all the way to a medical need or a medical use. So really huge advances coming with 3D printing, and I think that'll be something cool to watch down the road. So I think with that, I wanted to pass it over to Steve and Trish and see if we had any questions come in during the presentation.
Yeah, looks like we've got one here that is, the question was, this Windows 8, which we see is going to change the market quite a bit, when is Windows 8 coming out? And that's a great question. So Windows 8 will be out this fall. We are starting Windows. They haven't, or Microsoft has not released the specific release date on that, but it's looking like it's going to be a real game changer on form factor. If you pay attention to the hardware manufacturers, literally releasing new products every week, and when I say releasing products, they're Halo releasing products, meaning that they're not necessarily hit market yet, but going to be some interesting form factors. And the one thing that I did see that is super great is if you buy, a newer Windows 7 machine, it will be backwards or forward compatible to Windows 8, and you can do a Windows 8 upgrade within some certain qualifications for $15 to a like-to-like version, so you can get your Windows 7 upgrade right into Windows 8. And that way you're not stuck. So if you absolutely need to have a new desktop right now, no reason to wait for Windows 8 because for $15 you get that upgrade, which is pretty great. Tricia, do you see any questions out there?
I don't have any typed in. If anybody would like to type them in right now, go ahead, or you can raise your hand. There's a raise your hand button there, and I'll unmute your phone, and you can just ask the question if you like. I don't see anybody having a raised a hand yet, so we will, I just wanted to let you know we will post this webinar on our nextech.com/free webinar page, and for future viewing. Give us about a day to convert it, so we'll put it up there probably by tomorrow if you wanted to look back at it, or pass it along to somebody else who didn't get to log in and watch it. We thank you all for attending and hope you can attend our next one in July. Thank you very much.